All right, welcome to the 80 Star Basketball Channel Monday morning. Let's do some auction action. This is going to be a 101 heavy episode today. There's a bunch of auctions and a few things going on. Two things I wanted to mention before I start. Actually, three. One, subscribe. If you're coming here, subscribing, trying to build the Star voice and actually kind of build a community and people who can bounce ideas and information off of each other. And that's what this is partly doing. So if you care about Star and you want information that'll come in, subscribe. Like and comment too. Always more information is better. So go ahead and put those in the comments and likes and what you don't like, etc. However you see it. One thing that I did want to mention. So from my prior video, I talked about pop counts and stuff, and a guy named John mentioned, hey, thought I was being kind of dismissive or wasn't, giving true weight to the when you look at pop counts to how many are produced. And I definitely wasn't trying to be dismissive or anything of, how many are produced. I do think that's a very relevant number. I've always included it. However, I don't deem much important to it. And I decided as my head started running, I take long walks in the morning. I take about an hour walk every single morning when it's still dark out and everyone's asleep. I leave my phone and I have my head, which most of the time is a horrible thing to be alone with. But I sat there, and as I was kind of going, kind of working through it, trying to figure out what he was saying and kind of proving my point or trying to show why I felt some way, I started using all these physics, and it's like that would violate the second law of thermodynamics, and it was just funny to me. So I'm going to come up with a video. I thought I'd get it out tomorrow, but I'm not going to get it that fast. But I am putting a video together, kind of how my rationale on looking at the 101 and pop counts, and produced is more of a risk assessment type thing. So I'm not going to give too much. I'll give some time to it and show, but I don't weigh that number very heavily, and I will show why. The second thing is a guy in. So if you haven't, look at the Facebook Star group. There's a couple of them. The one I'm recommending it has 3,400 members, but there's several. Go check them out. Join them all. And find. Join all the Star groups. But this one is big and it has a lot of information in it. And one of the people named Kevin, he put out on Sunday, he's putting out kind of some information on the 101. And I find that so good because that is kind of what this is. I want people to be informed. I want them to get, good multiple opinions on this subject is really great. And he's kind of did a 101. I think he's more 101 focused. I'm kind of looking at Star in general on this channel, but very obviously the 101 is kind of going hot right now, and I think this is the start. But he came out with his assessment, which is good because when I do these auctions, I'm kind of assessing things, and I only have my own head and my own opinion. No one's talking about them, so it's good to see him put something out, and then I can agree or disagree, and I'll show some that I'm going to add to Kevin. I'm going to add to there was a few that you didn't have that I'm going to add on to and just kind of show where I in most cases agree with the assessment, but it's just a few more pointers. But I wanted to get those and say that's really good. If you haven't looked at the Star groups on Facebook, go for it. I'm going to kind of blow through these really fast, and it's going to be 101 focus today. So this is a Probstein auction for this 86 Fleer Jordan 6400. Obviously, I think most people know that Probstein auctions end high. I would expect this to be around the 6K range, maybe a little less now. I'm still kind of seeing them around that for a PSA 8 or a BGS 8.5. This one was interesting because it is a unique listing, but it 7.5s and kind of mediocre subs. I was a little surprised it went for this high, but with some of these, there's not too many of them coming up, so you never know kind of what's going to happen. But this one a little higher than I expected. But what I say is it out of range or a bad buy? No, I wouldn't. So congrats to whoever picked it up. And then we come down here. This was a 9.5 of the number 3 for the 10 card set. This one I thought was really interesting because this, to me, when I look at this card, this 8.5 for 19,200, this card, if you're familiar with it, the 195, it's notoriously off-centered, but this right side doesn't look very much well centered compared to others, and my honest assessment is it looks a little trimmed on that other side. That what would be Jordan's right side, your left side, is to me, if you pick this card and look at any other copies, you will see it pretty much immediately. So that's actually what I saw. So it looks extremely well centered, and I think that this card perhaps is trimmed. Going into the this BGS, this actually went higher than I thought. So a 7.5, but it might just be that there's not too many auctions for him. But I thought that was a little high. This actually is right where I kind of thought this would be. A 7 going for a 2,400. That makes a lot of sense, and good solid subs is a good pickup. Generally, you'll find these are, as opposed to the 288, they're much more solid. But you can see the difference in the right and the left side. So always be aware. Look at other copies before you purchase. There's a lot of people getting into Star right now, and you got to be aware of what you're looking at. This one I did. This one seems like a normal, 5,600 for a BGS 8.5. Obviously, it's non-Probstein auction, so the price is going to be a little lower, and kind of look at factors such as centering. But when I look and compared the two cards, they were similar in kind of what your preferences are. So the median between the two is 6,000, but I would kind of go a little less, and I would lean towards more this auction. Here is our first 101 sold. This actually went for less than I thought. I thought this one was going to go for a bit higher simply on eye appeal. It is altered, and that would be your first thing. Well, it's altered. It's obviously going to go pretty far down, and it looks like obvious trimming, but not totally obvious to me, because some of these copies, but it looks like top. But I'm looking at this card going, that's pretty good eye appeal for a 6K pickup for this card. I just think hats off to the buyer on this one. And obviously there's my disaster card from last week. Bought it, the 21.9 that I 15.5 that I picked up, paid for, and then a dealer sent a link and said, okay, let's finish it out elsewhere without any explanation as to what the hell was going on. So, all right, let's look at the active ones right here. And I'm watching this one just because it's pretty. The surface is pretty messed up. It has that print dot and multiple surface issues. I'm not sure where this will end at. So just kind of watching, and we'll kind of do the recap next week. So here is one auction that is basically an authentic. This one's it's pretty beat up. I don't know how else to say it. It's obvious. It's not like there's no opinion there, right? It looks creased. It looks at a few things, which, in an authentic, that's probably the best way to have it in this holder, because, it really just comes down to what you're okay with, and how much damage, you're fine with on a card. So be interesting to see where that ends up at. Let's see, PSA 9. 14.1 with a couple days left. So, and then we're going to look at, this is the first. I think that this has been stuck at 30,000 because it kind of hit the exact average. So I do think that Kevin thought that this one's going to go at about, possibly 32, right around there. I actually think that this one breaks the record, and I think we're going to end up in the 34 range. So that's me doing the prices right, bid over you. This is the reason why is actually, I think, simply right now momentum. And I think 34 is winning bid, but possibly higher. And again, you're limited by supply, so you don't know what's coming next. As soon as these dry up, they're going to dry up. Do I think we're in that area now? I think no. We're going to kind of see these come up like we're seeing in the auctions, people trying to get that profit. But when these get locked up in collections, they're gone. The prop is too low. So I do think that this is going to go higher because FOMO. I think these cards are going to go way higher. And what's the difference of you paying 30 as opposed to 35? You know, that kind of thing. That would be my mentality if I want in this, and I think the number is much higher. You know, that to me is an insignificant difference. So I'm going to jump from here and I'm going to go right on over to Heritage. And I'm going to kind of look at these one by one and give my quick assessment here. There was one spot I disagreed with Kevin a little bit on, or one thing that I looked at that I did notice. I agree with his overall assessment on, this card is, I think, you don't get high subs in an 8. It's going to go strong. This is a strong 8. Great pickup for, this would be one that I pursue. Unfortunately, I can't right now, but this would be one that I definitely went after and have been going after. But, before, when there were more, there were 7.5s in this range, and that's what I was looking at, and I picked some up. But obviously the corner, which goes in along with the 9, usually for what I found for mine, if the corners were all good or maybe had a tiny, tiny touch, you could have one white corner and you'd still get a 9 for BGS, so that stays consistent. However, the one thing I note on this card is that there's 9-5 edges, and you can see up in that corner right, or top edge, you can see the white right there. So, and I don't know if those other surface things, are an issue, but that edge definitely is there. So I'm a little surprised at the 9.5, but that's obviously really minor stuff, but it is there. So depending on how that changes your opinion. And then so that's the 8. Where do I think that'll end up at? I don't know, because that's better than a lot of 8.5s. So it really can't kind of guess. Do I think high 20s it could hit easily? Yep, I do. So now this one, again, it's mid subs, not bad at all. Depends how you feel about corners. That's my pet peeve, but these aren't bad. This is actually pretty solid, and centering's not bad for this card. And I just kind of look at this as a good, kind of solid 8. I keep wanting to say Kevin's opinion because it's good to have that bounce off of, but it's I actually think this one does clear 22. That's my guess. So it'd be fun to come circle back around and see where this actually ended up at. Next, this 8.5, this caused quite the stir, and I can totally see why. This one is obviously has surface and paper damage at the corners. This is not something, and there's a little edge damage, there. But up in that top, it looks like it was in a screw down, and it has it there. And across the top a little bit, but really those two corners, I do not see how this got the grade it got. Someone to me is going to buy the grade and not the card. And I really, implore people to really buy it. It's so simple to me. Buy the card, not the grade, and take that. You can obviously take that big number that's glaring in your face into account, and it does matter, but some people weigh it too heavily. I swear, if you're driving at 60 miles per hour and you're coming up on a wall straight in front of you, and if there's a PSA grader next to you and he goes, "Don't worry, that's not a wall," I guarantee there's going to be some car crashes that day. And really, really look with your eyes. If it doesn't make sense, that's stuff that you really need to pay attention to. So that's all I'm going to say from here. I don't even know where this is going to go, because to me that I don't view that as an 8.5, nor do I view those subs as accurate. So that's not something that I'm going to try and assess even. So one more that was on Heritage is this bag. So let's look at that bag. Bags are awesome. I love bags. That is just personal preference. That I think that factory kind of sealed stuff is super, super cool to me, especially when dealing with Star. Whoever opens bags, it's like, I die a little inside. But moving past that, I can see why it's done with values getting so high, and especially, if you have a bag that's really nice. Value in bags is tough to get because no one's grading yet. But the day they do, watch out. There's going to be a limited supply. So if you have a bag and it's really nice, I would just hold on to it. That is my personal opinion. And here, obviously, there's a lot of edge wear and corner stuff that to be accounted for. So I don't know where this ends in price, and that's going to be, if I were looking at this card, is that a kind of a PSA 4 kind of thing, a BGS 5, 5, 6. I don't even know if it's that high, so this will be interesting. However, it is in a bag, and that is important. And whoever didn't pull it out of the bag is smart, because you will actually get more value from that bag. Let's move on over to PWCC. I know this video is going long. It's just there's so much happening here. Here, this 8.5 for someone who's going to pick this up. Let's take a quick look at it. And high subs, watch the surface stuff, because like that little thing right there, that looks to be a surface blemish. So I'm not sure how it got 9.5, but it could be something on, a scratch on the casing. There we go. I got that word out. And pretty much just want to be really careful for surface issues. I believe Kevin looked at the scan, he looked at a bit, and there's a couple of surface issues he highlighted in the back, and then that one right there. So make sure that you're checking the surface on this one, and that's just something to be aware of. If that's not bothering you. So to me, this, if you just look at the subs, this is a beast mode 8.5, but again, you just have to assess those and check for yourself and make sure, because surface issues can ding pretty hard, especially like in a crossover situation. Check out this PSA 6 here. That is, this one is, I am conflicted on this one, but I'm more conflicted to the downside. That centering, I know, because I don't weigh centering as much as other people do for this card, you could easily see this card as one of the best centered 6s that you're ever going to see. So, take note of that. However, like I said, my personal OCDs and stuff, the white, when I'm seeing white on this card, it's that gets me. And that big chunk out of the right side is tough. Jordan's left side, your right side, that big chunk there, and the white that's around it is it's too much for me to look at a 6. But for someone who that just a little small white on that edge doesn't bother them, this is a nice centered copy. And couple of corner, I can see it being in the 6 range for sure there. Just that right edge, I'm like, tough to gauge on price where this ends up. It'll be held down by that. That's going to be the anchor for this card. So let's go back and look. And the last one for PWCC that we'll look at is this guy right here. As he slowly loads. And I've bid on a couple of these, just kind of keep watch if I decide that I want to move on some of these. This one, obviously, Kevin didn't say too much for this one. He kind of said that I think no clue where it'll finish at. And, it's kind of how you think that to me, that top is too thin. And the side centering is okay, for normal. So it's obviously PSA likes the top centering, but you have 9 edges, which you see on the bottom. There's edge wear, and I can totally get behind the 8.5 corners and surface. Obviously, I don't know, it doesn't look, but the edge wear is not a 9 to me on this one. You can see the right side too, right in the middle. There's that, edge wear. So that's where I kind of look at this card and go, will it go higher? I think so, because this is a crossover candidate to me. It is conceivable, throwing it out there, that this could, net someone a decent sized crossover, but probably would be in the PSA 6 range, I would think. But I've seen 7s. I have seen some 7s that I didn't like. I would see kind of in this range, but because of the edge wear and that bottom edge there, I'm thinking that this would be a PSA 6. But so if it finishes around 17, 18, I wouldn't be surprised. Tried to blur through this video, but there was obviously a lot. This is the 101 episode I'm gonna bill it at. So anyway, I will I will hope you like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next video.